We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. A subscriber over on the website by the name of ADR, who, like pretty much everybody on the website, shares really good information and things that they're seeing and companies that they're seeing that are putting out products like this. So I want to thank ADR and everybody who's over on the website. Some of you may have heard of this product before. It's very similar to the AirTag, only it's even more controlling of your movements and where you're going and every single thing that you own, where they may be located in case they're lost. And of course, this is all conditioning into full-on surveillance, right? A lot of the stuff they put out to make you paranoid about where a loved one might be, but the cell phone, if they don't call you after being missing for 2 hours or being out for 2 hours, they might as well consider you dead or call the police, because the way people are with their phones now, everybody's in constant contact. It's an overabundance of communication, mostly useless communication, but we're heading more and more towards a full-on surveillance state if we're not already there. And this thing called Life 360 is marketing themselves on news platforms like Fox News, because of course, remember, despite the differences between the left and the right, there's going to be common things that they're all on board with, and technology is one of them. And bringing in a full-on surveillance state is part of all of this. So in addition to the stuff I've talked about with Tesla, the humanoid robots, the Neuralink, how they're going to market this to both sides, and everybody will be on board as long as they're distracted and fighting about pretty much issues that shouldn't even be issues at this point in human existence, like what a man is and what a woman is. They've got to make sure everybody's on board. So you could look at the logo for Life 360 and you could see the 3-6, right? What a convenience, or what a coincidence, I should say. The 3 6s as your 666. And you also can see overlapping sixes in their logo along with that spiral, which of course has multiple meanings, which is another occult symbol. But they actually had the CEO of Life 360 on Fox News yesterday. So I want to post and show you him being interviewed talking about how this is just basic manipulation, how parents and everybody should want this type of technology so that they can find everything. And then I'll play for you the horror clip, and I mean horror clip, that's right out of Black Mirror, that they have on their YouTube channel that shows you exactly what this hell on earth looks like. But let's start here with how they're really just convincing people to willingly track one another and bring in this surveillance state themselves.
All right. Well, next time you are on a cruise and you want to check in on your kids or your pets at home, you may want to check out Life 360. The platform provides an all-inclusive safety service that helps keep track of your loved ones. Features crash detection, and it even has cybersecurity features that protects your data. Chris, your company has been doing so well. Obviously, cybersecurity and physical safety security are a big combination, and you're really capitalizing on that. What do you think is the best piece and the best product that you're selling within Life 360 right now, and why is it so popular?
It's really the entire service. We are like location sharing for families, and it really differentiates us from things like Find My. As millennial parents age into our category, they just realize that digital technology is such an easy thing to get through the day. No more "where are you" texts, no more worrying if your kids are speeding, no more looking for your lost keys. And people are understanding just how powerful this is, and we're essentially becoming a super app for families. So in the same way Facebook got huge with friends, LinkedIn did it with professionals, we've become that digital brand for the millennial family group.
Yeah, and I do know parents that do use Life 360. You have tile tags, which is very similar, obviously, to an Apple AirTag. Is that your competition, or
in some ways?
Go ahead.
In some ways, yes, but Apple really does more of a generic one-size-fits-all service. Everything we do is a family and safety focus. So as an example, our tile devices have SOS buttons. So one click, you have a daughter on a date, she can push that button, get help in an emergency, and it's very differentiated. And we have wallet-sized trackers, sticker-sized trackers. We're working on a pet lineup. Next year, we'll be launching an elder care lineup. So it's a very different product when you look at how it's actually used.
The pet product, tell me about that one. Is that an area of growth? I was looking at the earnings, 32% jump year over year in that revenue, $103 million for Q1. So is it the newer product lines? You mentioned pets, for example. Is that where you see growth moving forward? Is that in the guidance?
That's not in this year's guidance. So
Okay.
people are all already using our Bluetooth tags for tracking pets, but we're launching something so much more powerful at the end of the year. It's combining Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. So you really get real-time data on your pets, alerts when they leave the house. We're building a lost pet finding network where we have so many customers. We're going to let you alert your neighborhood if your pet's lost, help you get your dog back, and share that location. So that's really the out years. A lot of the success we're having is purely just getting the growth of our user base. We're over 80 million active users now. We are not slowing down anywhere in the country with our growth. We're growing internationally. And as I mentioned when we started, people are understanding location sharing. It's actually not this weird thing. It's just a new way of communicating. And you get peace of mind in a way that lets actually your family have more independence and freedom.
So, of course, in a normal world, this stuff isn't necessary, right? This stuff shouldn't be necessary, and it's not necessary. But, of course, they're making it necessary because they're making people more and more paranoid with a lot of the stuff that you see getting promoted, a lot of the crime stories, the true crime shows. They're the ones making people unhinged in the first place. But on top of that, they're bringing in this CCTV, get a ring on your front door type of society that we're living in where people want cameras everywhere because they want to be able to track the killer. They want to be able to track the person who's taking your Amazon packages off your front steps. And this is how they convince people into it. So this is another type of tactic where they're saying, hey, you might drop your keys or you might lose your bicycle, or your cousin may have went to the mall and not called you after an hour, even though he could have maybe been at a movie for 90 minutes and didn't have his phone on. But this is more and more of what the world's starting to look like. And they have to convince you into this type of stuff. But on the flip side of this, I want to show you one of the commercials that they have on their YouTube channel. Now, there's a lot of horrifying ads over on Life 360's YouTube channel where they're trying to promote this type of mentality of always obsessing over where somebody is, right? The subscriber on the website shared one of the trailers, which was a woman singing about, their daughter going out and their daughter not calling and their daughter getting kidnapped, their daughter falling in a mine hole, or a daughter getting struck by lightning. But with this device, nobody has to worry about it, right? And of course, the ultimate goal here isn't them caring about you so that you could follow and monitor your daughter or your cousin or your brother or your sister or your girlfriend, right? Or your boyfriend. This is about you giving up control, because who's the man behind the curtain who really has access to this stuff? You think it's just you if you put one of these devices on your daughter's keys, or you tell your daughter to walk around with this when she's out at night, and this whole thing is linked up to her name and her specifics, and they have all your data? You don't think there's a man behind the cloud, behind the app, who is now able to monitor and track your sibling or your loved one every single step of the way and everywhere they go? Now, we can look at it and say they already do that with cell phones, but not as much control as they'd like to have, because there are people out there like myself who have burner phones that have no link whatsoever to you unless you use that phone and you call somebody and give your personal information, which we know they immediately take, and then they sell, and then they track and do all those types of things. And of course, I only have a burner phone in the first place because if you didn't know, you actually have to have a phone number in order to have a YouTube channel in the year 2025, if that's not insane enough. And that is their way of trying to prevent these horrible people who constantly make YouTube channels. I don't know if you heard about them. There's people that kick off the platform and then they try to come back on it, which to me is absolutely horrible. Like, follow the law. I mean, this should be like federal law. If you get kicked off YouTube, you're not allowed back on. So of course, that's one of the methods that they use. Now, if you go over, like I said, to their channel, they have all these horrifying videos about tracking people. But this one specifically, I thought was like almost made for Black Mirror. And they're actually, remember, they're showing you this like this is a positive. Like, you should see this and want this. When anybody who's actually awake and understanding, when you see this, this looks like it's right out of Black Mirror. It's horrifying. But of course, this type of propaganda works on people. And it's no different than the other propaganda commercials I talk about, like Big Pharma. Right? I always bring attention to that because of the way that they put these big pharma commercials out there. They show a couple on the beach. They talk about, show this wonderful life. They're in Hawaii. They're having dinner. They're kissing, right? While they're reading off all the side effects that are going to kill you when you go and you get a prescription for this drug. Well, this is no different, right? Look at this horror show on Life 360's website. This is a commercial they're using to actually get people to buy the product. Remember, not run away from it.
AirTag, a growing $4 billion product, has a flaw. Watch out! AirTags only work from within a few hundred feet of a Find My device. To give you an idea, if you were to drop your keys in the Grand Canyon, an AirTag would lose tracking less than 1/10 of the way down. But welcome to the real world. Keys get lost, cars get stolen, kids get lost, bags get stolen, dogs get lost, bikes get stolen, luggage, wallets, pets, instruments, tools, cameras. And we asked ourselves, how effective are trackers if there are still 99% of places where your most precious things could still get lost? Introducing Find with Life 360. We are planning to create a network that's truly universal, completely global. How will we do it? We'll take Life 360's network of 66 million active devices and completely supercharge it. With Hubble Network's Bluetooth to satellite technology, we aim to achieve the unprecedented global coverage. Imagine seamlessly transitioning between local and global tracking, with or without cellular connection. So everything, everyone, anywhere it could be lost, it will be found again. Find with Life 360. Launching with Tile 2025.
So this is the horrifying reality that we're living in, where people are putting themselves in this surveillance state. I think when we look back, and even in the 90s, people were, with their mindset was more like, they're never going to get away with that type of thing. They're not going to roll down the streets, the government, and just start putting cameras up on every street corner. Well, that's not what they're doing. What the government has done is use propaganda and other tactics to scare the crap out of you, and then convinced you that all this technology is for your benefit, but all this technology is so that you can imprison yourself and be spied on 24/7, right? No different than the Alexa, the smart TVs, all these devices are doing are tracking and monitoring you. And now in addition to it, it's almost like, this is the equivalent of when you go to a farm or you see animals that are tagged, right? Maybe you've walked by a farm, you see the tag on the ear. And you're like, oh, the poor cow, it's got a tag in its ear, it's going to get slaughtered, or the chicken or whatever, right? Well, it's no different. These are humans who are tagging themselves. And then they look at it and they look at you like you have 10 heads. They're like, no, it's not. It's so I can make sure my daughter is safe when she's out at night. And because of the hysteria that they've created, where they've made people so afraid, which everybody should know, they made people so afraid that they can't even go outside anymore. I mean, look around you. Again, people still wearing masks. People driving in cars still wearing masks. I've seen it myself. People are afraid to even interact with one another. This is all done by design to make people willingly bring in a surveillance state for the government. And they never think further than themselves. They never say, well, what or who could be behind this app? Because these apps, again, they use corporations as the front for this. They use people like Elon Musk as the front for this. These are all government technology. This is government technology that's being unleashed on the people, and they're trying to get you to willingly purchase it, willingly adopt it, willingly take to it, so that you don't realize that this is the government's way of getting this stuff into your day-to-day life. And the more we accept this stuff, then when Big Brother decides, hey, we're going to need a carbon footprint, people out there aren't going to care. They're already so used to, oh, well, I'm being tracked and monitored. I track my kid. I track my devices. I tag everything. I know where my car is at all times. Well, what's the difference if a carbon footprint's in place? Oh, yeah, well, the only thing different is that now they'll be tracking how many steps you take, how many breaths you take, and they'll go, well, I have an iFit or a Fitbit. So it doesn't matter. I'm already tracking my steps. What about breaths? I don't really care. If they want to know how much I breathe, well, there's something wrong with them, I guess, right? People are willingly giving up their freedoms and their rights, and they don't even understand who's behind all of this technology and who's behind these corporations. These corporations are fronts for the deep state, as they like to call it, the deep state. They're for the fronts for the New World Order. They're the fronts for DARPA. They're the ones who create this tech. And then that shows you the state of mind that we're in 2025, that people are willingly doing this type of stuff. I get it. I don't have kids, but I could imagine you raise a child and your child's suddenly a teenager, but, you're the one maybe putting them in the public school or putting them out in some of these situations where they shouldn't even be. And then you're worrying about them when they're out in public. Maybe don't let them out. Maybe have a curfew, right? Maybe, raise the child properly so you don't have to worry about the child when they're 17 or 18. Now, I get it. Most people are worried about not their child, other children out there and how they're raised. Well, raise your child. Get your child a license to carry. Raise your child so they know how to defend themselves. Raise your child so that they're not in situations or in areas that they shouldn't be in, that they know could be dangerous locations. I mean, there's lots of things that can be done. Civilization has lived for a long time without tracking and tagging one another. I get it that it's dangerous, and it is dangerous, even if you raise your kid the right way. Of course, God forbid you let your kid out and they come across the wrong person, or they're dating the wrong person, or they turn down the wrong street. But there's other ways to have your child protect themselves, because anything can happen at any time. And if your kid or your teenager or your loved one can't protect themselves from dangerous situations, what do you think the tag's going to do? If your kid runs into a bad, harmful situation and you see your kid hasn't called and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you check your tag and you see that your kid is frozen in an alley somewhere. Well, it's too late probably, right? What are you going to do? Teleport there? You're going to become Nightcrawler and show up in an alley somewhere? And you're going to be armed and you're going to take care of it. Likely you've already missed the chance to save your kid's life if something actually has happened. And they want you to think that this technology can intervene into saving your child's life, right? I mean, what happens? Your kid presses a button. It says they're in trouble, right? Oh, okay. Well, if your kid has this in their pocket and say somebody comes up to them and tries to mug them and they press the button, are the police going to teleport there? Oh, by the time the police get there, I'm sure the person will have already robbed them and left or killed them or whatever their disgusting, plans were. So this technology does not help society, but they've made a weak society. They made people afraid to arm themselves. They've made people afraid to defend themselves because, of course, that's violence. I wouldn't want to defend myself until, of course, you're in a situation where somebody is attacking you and then you realize you don't know how to defend yourself. You're not armed because you were screaming for gun rights, and you aren't armed with a knife because you've allowed the government to take your knives away like they have in Australia. Next thing you know, it's over. So this technology does not save anyone. All it does is condition you into thinking that these are the types of things that will help you. And then you'll continually listen, the sheeple will, to more and more propaganda from the government where they say, well, if we instill this and we instill that and we instill this, everyone will be safer and safer and safer and we'll protect you. When they're the ones responsible. Most of the people out there who are criminals, not saying that people naturally aren't scumbags and whatnot, but the majority of people see this stuff because it's glorified in movies and television shows. A lot of people have seen the news over the last couple of years, right? And they've seen, they're letting people get away with crimes. They're letting them loot stores and the police aren't doing anything. So then they think to themselves, well, I can go and do that. They're training them to be criminals, right? With all the tech, they're not thinking straight. They're just getting fed all this type of stuff. So the government's responsible for the chaos. And I've covered that for years now, even in the subways, allowing all this crime to run amok so that they can bring in their robo-police and their scanners to scan if you have a weapon on you. Right? They're making it so you can't defend yourself or protect yourself, but Big Brother will. The next thing you know, Big Brother turns on you, which is they already have. If you haven't noticed since your entire life, you should have noticed that. But especially since COVID, they had turned on everyone and gone rogue. I mean, that was them waving a flag that pretty much said, hey, suckers, we turned on you. Nobody really noticed except those of us who are awake, because still we see conservatives who think that the Republican Party is on their side when those are the same people who were the fathers of the vaccines and whatnot. So this is them conditioning people into a surveillance state willingly. I know there's technology like the tags out there, but it's really getting sicker and sicker. And the more fearful parents are getting, you can understand the mindset of why they want to do it, but they don't think further than that. They don't think about the things I just said. Of, hey, your kid's out there, they're in a situation, they're 30 minutes away from you. What are you going to do? Your kid presses the emergency thing, or you're in your underwear in your room. Oh, you're going to, you're on the toilet. You're going to wipe, you're going to put pants on, you're going to get dressed. There's 10 minutes there. You're going to start your car. You're going to go find your gun or your baseball bat or whatever you have. Okay. Then you're going to get out of the house. So that's 10 minutes plus 20 minutes. That's 30-minute drive altogether to get there. And then what? You're going to find them dead on the ground because you didn't teach them to defend themselves? Or some of the other crap that they put in those ads, right? Oh, you dropped your, where's your bicycle? Your missing bike. Oh my goodness, my earthly treasures. Where's my bike? Where's my skateboard? Where's my car? Right? I mean, it's truly the way that they just seep into people's minds with their fear porn, and the way that they're able to get people to not think further than just going, hey, this might save my kid if they're out at night, without going, oh, yeah, right. It probably won't save anyone. These people are already out there with cell phones in their pockets, right? 30 years ago, nobody had a way. If you were in an alley, you were broken down on the side of the road, there's no phone, right? You got to fight yourself to get out of the potential murder situation or kidnapping situation. Now you have your phone in your pocket. Isn't that enough? Isn't it enough to just call 911 If you break down, yeah, because that's what people do. Or call AAA or call the loved one and say, hey, come and get me. Or if you see a situation that's getting uncomfortable, grab your phone and call 911 real quick. Oh, that's not fast enough for you because you're already being tracked that way. Now you need a tag on you, right? It's truly, the way people think is truly incredible. Because then when you get them to think like that, they go, oh, right. So they really are just trying to get us to tag and track ourselves like cattle. And then, of course, we don't know who's behind the curtain tracking and monitoring us. And then on top of that, again, you're going to be able to do nothing with a device like this other than find something. Woo, great. So you're going to find either your dead kid somewhere or, you're going to find your car in an alley somewhere with the hubcaps missing. Yay, whoop-dee-doo. Congratulations on turning America into a surveillance state. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.